Hey, I'm Aaron from GameEnthus.com, and in this video, I'm going to be checking out these games collectively known as the 18 Hex games because they're all tile placement games, or games with tiles that all have 18 tiles in them. All these games being published by LittleHouse Board Games. All 6 of these games have been designed by a combination of David Heras, David Prieto, and Pablo Garaizar. The 6 games here, this one is called Q Memory, this one is called ISO, this one is called Yin Yang. You may have figured that out. This one is called Hextremadura. This one is called FlipA or FlipA. I probably say FlipA. This one in the bottom center is called Pantheon. I want to know the names of all these games. How about an overview for each one? Okay, so these are all 6 games. The first I'm going to talk about is Hextremadura. So I'll move all these to the side. So this is Hextremadura. It's a solo game where you are trying to meet certain requirements. You have requirements kind of on both sides. So you start off with the requirements that look like these. You eventually get to the requirements that look like those. You would shuffle up the tiles, and then you would create a pile much like that, and you just take one off the pile. So on any given turn, the player is going to have 2 tiles with which to choose from. So let's say I chose this one. So I'll just put this here. The requirement for this means 3 forest tiles beneath this. This means 3, I guess, river tiles in the direction. It's like a speech bubble, but it's the direction it's pointing in. So then I would move this like that, thus creating another 2 tiles with which to choose from. So let's say I pick this tile, and this requirement is to have 3 forest tiles. So if I connected it like that, I've met the requirement for this tile. There are 1, 2, 3 forest tiles beneath this water tile. So I would take the tile that I completed the objective for, and I would just set that to the side. And then play would continue until I ran out of tiles with which to choose from, and this would obviously grow. After you've gone through all the tiles, you then would flip over the pile of requirements that you met in the first part of the game. So the real goal of the game is to satisfy the requirements in the middle of all the tiles of the ones that you completed in the first section. The final scoring objective is going to be different colors and different flora, fauna, and monuments. So if you look at this one, this is 3 monuments. I want a monument on the crop terrain, a forest terrain, and a water terrain. Of course, I have none of that now, so it's going to be my goal to attempt to achieve that. I have the acorn in the crop terrain and the bird in the forest. So now I've accomplished this one here. So this one has already been met. This is having all 3 icons in the crop. So I have 1, 2, 3. So this one will definitely be met, but this one's going to come in handy here because to fulfill this one, I need the monument in the forest next to the bird in the crop area. So that got accomplished. So some of them adjacency does matter. Like for this one, this is not about adjacency at all. It's about just having them. When you see the ones that are like split, sometimes that's where it matters. Where you have white lines in between objectives, adjacency doesn't matter. Where you don't have white lines between different icons and terrains, that's where adjacency matters. Like this is tough. Like this is about adjacency. This is having 3 different acorns all adjacent to each other of different terrains. That's pretty challenging to do. So you just count up how many of the individual objectives that you got. If you get them all, wow, you're better than I am. So good luck with that. So ISO is a sort of 3-dimensional spatial vision isometric puzzle challenge, if you will. I played it primarily solo, but it plays very similarly for 1 to 3 players, if memory serves. So in ISO, each tile is going to have a front and a back. So the back is essentially the block side, and the front is the objective side. And in the center here, this is the formation that players are going to try to complete in order to get stars. This just happens to be the number of the puzzles. I believe they all are just numbered 1 through 18, if you will. So just remember, the stars are the points. 1 star equals a point at the end of the game. So you would take all the tiles, You shuffle them up, and you create a pile, and then you take out 3. It also matters that in terms of the puzzles where you have black, white, and void, that definitely does matter in terms of the configuration and layout for the puzzles. Layout 3, and oh boy, there's some interesting ones here. So you lay out 3, and you are trying to, let me actually move this over here. I'll put this up here like that. So on your turn, you're going to take a tile. So I'm going to take this tile, and I only have 1, so I clearly have not satisfied any of these because I only have 1. El Tetramino style of this color plus that. That's not easy. This one I would need just, I believe, 5 of any of the teal, or light teal, whatever you want to call it, and then that one. This is tough. So I'm going to keep taking tiles and then trying to connect them to make something. I don't know. Oh boy, yeah, this, wow. Yeah. ISO is no joke. I'm failing in real time, but that is ISO. As you can see, they're not all like impossible. Like this one, you just want to have, well, void, white, going like that. It's also why it's worth 3 stars. Look at this one. This is a 5-star one. It's also, the 18th card. I'm sorry, the 18th tile. Yeah, there's some challenging ones here. This is, yeah, solo, or, I mean, I guess, more than one head is better than one, because I feel like I did better when I played this previous times. And of course, I turned the camera on, I started recording, and I'm like, so, yeah, ISO is, it's quite the challenge. And, whoever has the most at the end of the game, the most stars, which means the most points, will win the game. Okay, up next we have Pantheon, which is about an asymmetrical strategy game where you are trying to build a monument in honor of the Greek or Roman gods. I think they're all kind of, I think there's both in here. Right now on top we have Persephone and we have Minerva. And you see there's points on them, icons, and abilities. So Persephone, I believe, allows you to move tiles around. Minerva allows you to flip a tile over. And there's some other powers as well. So the game would start, I think you would flip a tile. Wow. You kind of flip a tile like a coin, and whatever side it lands on, that player would go first. Each player also would get 9 tiles, I believe. And you'd start placing them and trying to, in effect, get more of your tiles out there because they're going to be worth points. And forgive me if I confuse you when I pointed to this number and said points. This is for reference. Points are at the bottom. So the more of your tiles you have out there and the more you're controlling, then the better chances of you winning. I played this one the least, but I do see the appeal of it. So once you get the iconography down, you'll be all set. So that is Pantheon. Okay, this game is FlipA. And in FlipA, there's a bunch of different modes. I'll just go over 2 of the main ones, but there are several. And it's playable from 1 to 8 players. And I think the rules say something about maybe even 12. So in one of the modes, you would shuffle up all the tiles and then organize them like this with a space in the center. And on any given player's turn, what they're going to do is they're going to attempt to spell a word. So let's say I wanted to spell the word wed. So I would get 3 points, and then I would flip over all the tiles that I used to spell that word. And then play would go to the next person in clockwise fashion. And the objective of this mode is to get 20 points. Whoever gets 20 points first wins the game. Interesting detail is that when you're going through and making a word and going past different letters, you can loop back on letters you've already used. which is kind of cool. And you can also use alternative letters. So if you look at the bottom of some of them, like this K, this alternative letter is a C. This Q's alternative letter is a K. This V's alternative letter is a B. Did I say that right? And which is very unique because you can spell longer words and maybe sort of keep going for a longer word if you're able to loop back to a letter you already use. And I believe you can use that letter anyway, but then you have the option of using an alternative letter, should it have one. Okay, in another mode, you would just take 4 random tiles, put them together, and all the other tiles would just be sort of in a pile, and players would just take turns picking a tile. So let's say somebody picked P, and they put that there. So they're going to spell, well, damp. So somebody could spell damp, and once damp is spelled, they would get 1 point per letter. Flip over all of the, SH. So I'll say this is going to get real interesting. Okay. I guess not quite as, or it still could. So, and although it will be, obviously, ha ha ha, but then you'd only earn 3 points. But you can do what you want. So the next player would be attempting to spell something else. Once all of the pile is gone and everybody has, I believe, the same number of turns, whoever has the most points wins the game. And that is FlipA. Okay, this game is Yin Yang, and Yin Yang you're going to have, of course, 18 tiles comprised of 4 earth tiles, just the yellow ones, 4 fire tiles, the red ones, 3 wood tiles, the ones with the brown, 3 water tiles, and then 3 metal tiles. And for each one, there's going to be a purity, a pure number. So there's pure 1, pure 2, or pure 3 for each different one. And I'm assuming that is repeated for, one of them is going to be repeated for earth and fire because there happen to be 4 of both of those. Yeah, let me show you the formation and we'll get into it. Also, the side of the box is the round counter. So you have round 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. So you can, the game takes place over 6 rounds, so you can use the side of the box to sort of show you what round you're in. Or you can roll it. I mean, it's kind of, hey there, boxing. Hey. Okay. Anyway, it's up to you. The game takes place over 6 different rounds, and I'm using the box with 1 facing up, so that this is round 1. And each round consists of 2 phases, activation and bet or betting. So Yang will go first. If I didn't mention this before, this is a 2-player game. So you're going to activate something. You activate something based on the purity, or you can activate something based on the element. So the 2 options for player 1, just for an example, would be if they, now remember this is Yang going, so Yang. If Yang goes first, the whole idea is to have, you want to build majorities of tiles of your color. So that means I want to have more black tiles facing up, which means I would have more majority of different elements. Makes sense. So if I did it by element, I would just flip over every tile of element. So I could pick fire. And if I did that, then I would be flipping over every fire tile. Now, right now, Yin has 3 fire tiles flipped over on their side, and I have 1. So if I pick the element and I go with fire, I could flip over all of these, and then I would have 3 Yang, and it would reverse. I would have 3 Yang fires, and then Yin would have 1, because they all would flip. So that would get me, that would be good. That's if I choose an element. If I go with a pure, that means I'm picking one of my own tiles and then choosing that many adjacent tiles of that number of that tile. I'll make it make more sense. So this 3 wood here. So this is my tile. It's 3, 1, 2, 3. It's wood. If I activate that, I can flip over 3 adjacent tiles because it's a 3. So what that means is I could flip over these 3 tiles to my side. let's say I chose fire. So I'm going to flip over all the fires. Let me flip it over so the numbers make more sense. So I'm flipping over all the fires. There's 4 of them. There's 4 fire and 4 earth, I believe. Earth is yellow. So now the majority of the fires are yang because I flipped them over. I went with that. Now that's where the strategy comes into play, where you're trying to figure out, does it make more sense to go with the pure, make more sense to go with the element? So now that's activation. The next step of a turn is betting. So betting is where you choose any tile of the elements where you have a majority. So right now, I definitely have a majority of fire and a majority of wood. I mean, I literally have all the wood now. In fire, Yin has at least 1, but 4 woods, they're all yang right now. Now, betting is an option. So if I went ahead and chose, let's say I chose this 2 wood here because I have the majority of wood and I took it out of the game. Betting on this means at the end of the game, I'm going to earn more points. If I continue to have the majority of wood, I would earn more points because of it. However, until we get to the end of the game, I can never activate a 2 pure wood for the rest of the game. So betting is optional, and it might be something where maybe you kind of see how things are playing out as you head into the different rounds, because if you just start taking stuff, you can only bet up to 3 times, I believe. Yeah, you cannot have more than 3 bets, and the sum of them cannot exceed 6. I think that means the sum of the pure numbers on them. So just other things to think about. And that is essentially how Yin Yang plays. Okay, so this is Q Memory. I believe that this game was previously released, but just not international. I believe this game was already released. Unlike the other 5, this game just was not released internationally. That was my understanding. So Q Memory is a memory game. We are trying to match background colors or core colors. Core colors are white and black, and background colors are blue, purple, green, yellow, red, and orange. And you're trying to alternate what you're matching. So if the first 2 things you flip over, if you match the background color, then the next thing you flip over between the new one and the last one that you flipped over, then you want to match the core color, and you're going to kind of try to alternate. There's different formations. There's a bunch of different modes in it where I'm going to do the easy one where you only pick 3 pairs, but the rule book definitely has some other ones where you have a lot more tiles with to choose, and it's a whole thing. It is playable from, I believe, 1 to 6 players, I believe. Yeah, 1 to 6. So I'm going to pick 3 colors. So let's say I'm going to pick blue, I'm going to pick green, and then I'm going to pick orange. So all these others will go to the side. I'm going to take these and I'm going to shuffle them up. Okay. I think they are sufficiently shuffled. And then I'm going to place them into a little formation here, like this. Okay. So we're going to flip over 2 things. And let's say I flip over this. So we have blue and white. Background is blue, core is white, and okay, background is green, and the core is white. So we match the core colors, right? So the next thing I want to do is I want to match, because green was the last one I picked. Now I want to pick green. I want to match green and green. So let's say I flip this over. This is clearly not green. So we start the whole thing over again. Everything gets flipped back over. Now, granted, there's only 6 tiles here. So you can see if you pick many more pairs, how kind of crazy it can get. All right, so we're going to flip over 2 things. I'm going to flip this over. Okay, so I'm flipping this over. Okay, so I went with what I knew, what I remembered. And so I matched 2 greens. So because I picked this last, that means I'm going to want to pick something that has a white core color. I remember this was blue with a white core, and that's all I remember. Okay, I know this is orange, but I think it's orange with a black core. So, and because I flipped this over, well, I matched core, so now I want to match background color. So I want to pick blue next. I know this is orange. I'll pick one of these and hope that it's blue. There we go. So that was blue. Yay me. Now I match background color. Now back to core. Now I want to match a black core. I'm pretty sure this had a black core. There we go. And then I match cores. Now we're matching background. And there we go. And this is the, just picking 6 is the easiest one. But once you start choosing some of the other ones, the more advanced ones that have 12 different tiles, gets more challenging. And there's also one where you pick 2 of these. So you pick all of 3 colors, I believe, and you have 2 different circles of 6. And then the insane setup is where you have all 18 tiles and you're going for everything. And yeah, that is cue memory. So those are the 18 hex games from LittleHouse Games, and their designers, David Heras, their Prieto, and Pablo Garaizar. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. Forgive me. Very different games, and all of them, some seem a little more complex than others, but all of them have a little more to them than meets the eye. I do appreciate the way each game scales. They all have a sort of more simple, basic mode, I think with the exception of Yin Yang and Hextremadura, but they all are very unique, and they all have a lot of replayability. And 18 seems to be, I guess, the new sweet spot. So, but they all work, and they're relatively small. So, yeah. That was not on purpose. Oops. If you're interested in backing the 18 Hex games, you will find a link in the description below. Thank you for watching. Take care, stay safe, and be blessed. Also not intentional.